Hey, welcome to 1500ESPN.com. I'm Derek Wetmore. This is Andrew Kramer. We just got done watching the Vikings lose in Miami to the Dolphins, 37-35 on almost unbelievable play, really. That was the difference. A punt gets blocked for a safety, and the Vikings find another way to lose late, Andrew. It's been amazing this season how much the fourth quarter has kind of swung games one way or the other for the Vikings, more often for the bad. We'll talk about that. We'll also get into Teddy Bridgewater's day on this video, and we'll talk about the Vikings defense. They give up 396 passing yards to Ryan Tannehill and the Miami Dolphins. Not good enough to win. All of this stuff will be discussed on the Purple Podcast as soon as we're done recording this video today, too. So plenty more where this came from, but on this video, those are the three things we're going to discuss. Andrew, they found yet another way to lose a game close. That's kind of been a pattern for the Vikings this season.
It really has. And when Mike Zimmer came in and took over this team 11 months ago, he hung up a sign in their indoor field house that says tough teams win in the fourth quarter. Now, as cliche as that kind of thing can be, it was a mantra he was trying to get across to this team ever since he took over. And when you have a young roster like he does, you kind of have to beat that into some players' heads at times. And you saw it again today, guys like Sharif Floyd, Gerald Hodges making after-play mistakes, unsportsmanlike conducts, costing the team yardage and at times points. And that leads to a close game at the end where all it takes is a blocked field goal that turns into a safety to lose 37-35 in a game that they really should have won. They jump out to another 14-0 lead, and then they blow that again. And it was just inexcusable, like you said, with the defense, allowing 4 touchdowns and 4 drives. But it's something always happens this season when it comes to the fourth quarter for the Vikings. When it was in Buffalo, it was a 4th and 20 conversion that they allowed. When they were facing in Chicago, the clocks went out, and Teddy Bridgewater ended up throwing a late interception when he thought he had no time left. There was another one where they had the blocked field goal for 26 yards in Detroit last week, and then now a blocked punt at the end of the game. That's 4 losses right now on their 6-9 record that have come off of just weird circumstances in the final fourth quarters or the final closing seconds of games.
Right. Now, is there anything they can do to curb that? It seems to me some of it's bad luck, but as Zimmer said in his post-game press conference, he told reporters that some of it's undisciplined. And I think he was referring specifically to like Hodges and Floyd. But, is there anything to be learned, really, that the Vikings can maybe try to correct for next year?
Short of witchcraft, wizardry, shrunken heads, I mean, I don't know. There's just something here where they just keep getting snake bitten, whether it's by injuries, whether it's by the judicial system with Adrian Peterson, or whether it's on the field of giving up these last plays or just having these weird plays that no other teams go through as often, it seems, as the Vikings do.
Right, and maybe it's just because we're closer to it. We cover this team regularly.
But something's always happening. It doesn't matter. You can argue it whether or not that happens around the league or not, but something keeps happening to this team's late in games. It's just terrible.
Tough to make excuses for the defense today, though. As I mentioned, gave up nearly 400 passing yards, and at times they were getting cut up in the run game, too. Aside from health, what did you take away from the Vikings' defensive performance today?
I mean, they allowed 4.1 yards on the ground, and then when they weren't gaining yardage on the ground, Tannehill was able to sit back there with a relatively clean pocket. He took only 2 sacks on 47 dropbacks. Right. 2 sacks he only took, and he was able to sit back there and dink and dunk. I think he only had 12 incompletions on those 47 dropbacks. So what I saw was a guy kind of like Geno Smith in that Jets game 2 games ago, able to drop back with time and hit open guys. There were guys that were just getting clear separation, and there were a couple good throws, too. I mean, there were times where he was hitting Mike Wallace or Jarvis Landry on throws that were over in Captain Munderland's shoulder, or the touchdown pass to Mike Wallace, where Xavier Rhodes looks to almost have an interception, and then somehow Mike Wallace tiptoes along the sidelines, comes away with the ball, and scores. There's times there where you just, witchcraft, wizardry, rabbit's feet, horseshoes. They need to do something to change up their luck here because it's just not working for them.
Well, and Tannehill's a more precise quarterback than Geno Smith.
He is, but at the same time, again, it's one of these situations where the Vikings at times are making opposing quarterbacks look like Hall of Famers at times when these guys clearly aren't. Geno Smith wasn't, but Percy Harvin was able to make him look great, and Tannehill's not either, and yet he was still looking great today.
Flip to the other side of the quarterback conversation. Teddy Bridgewater had seeming a pretty nice day today. I was telling you before we started this video, there were 3 throws that really stood out to me as impressive from Bridgewater. The one was the Greg Jennings touchdown. The other was the Chase Ford should have been touchdown. Yeah. And then he had another nice throw on a crossing route to Jarius Wright. There were certainly other throws that Bridgewater made today, but I honestly, you see the tangible improvements in Teddy Bridgewater throughout the season.
You really do. He's now completing 73% of his passes across the last 4 games, and really his interception numbers are kind of skewed because now he's had 3 of his interceptions on the year have been off tip passes, and I think 2 of those are from Matt Asiata. His one interception today, obviously, tip ball straight into the air by Asiata.
Volleyball.
And then he had a 1 Hail Mary interception against the Jets, too. So really, he's been more on target than the stats even indicate, but the stats indicate he's very on target. So it's been good for him in this past month. He's really settled into what Norv Turner's asking him to do. And I think Norv Turner's a little more comfortable now, especially using Charles Johnson as the split end, having Jarius Wright come along in that slot position, and even give credit to guys like Red Ellison and Chase Ford who were catching passes out of those tight end positions without Kyle Rudolph in a game again today. So I think with all those things coming together, Teddy's really looked impressive, and that's the sign for optimism moving forward, even though they're not going to finish 500 or better.
Do you take it as a check mark against Bridgewater that he wasn't able to lead him on a drive to win, or do you just say, hey, they scored 35 points. That's a pretty good day for the quarterback?
I say going on the road in Miami against a pretty well-respected defense, putting up 35 points is all you can ask of Teddy Bridgewater. And if you went to Norv Turner and Mike Zimmer before this game and said, hey, we're going to give you 35 points for Teddy Bridgewater, they'll take it every day.
Sure. We'll discuss plenty more on the Purple Podcast on 1500ESPN.com, so be sure to check that out. Andrew's analysis will be all over that.
Well, you do some analysis.
I do some of it. Mostly I'm just the setup guy. I'm here lobbing softball so you can crush them out of the park. Anyway, that's what we do on the videos here too, so who cares? But do check out that podcast. It'll be some good stuff. We'll get into some longer form than we're able to on this video here. For Andrew Kramer, I'm Derek Wetmore. Thanks for coming to 1500ESPN.com, and we'll catch you next time.